What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. This is TWA Motorsports, and today we are working on Big Red here. Yes, the crew cab dually that I bought. And actually, guys, I can't even get it all. Look, I can't even get it all in one shot. It's so big. I actually sold the white truck, so you guys see that the white truck's not out there, just the Slam Tahoe. And well, this is now my daily driver for a while. And I need to do a couple things to it. The very first thing we're going to do, because I just got through driving it, we're going to do two things for sure, but I'm going to change the oil. But because I just got through driving it, it's still pretty warm. And there's one thing on the inside that it's really odd. So when I get inside to lock the doors, so if you hit the lock button, if you hit it twice, it locks. But the back doors don't lock. And you can manually lock them. And then when you go to unlock it, they all unlock. So the back door locks work, it's just that they don't lock. And so I have heard that that is actually a relay problem. So in this panel on the side, we're going to start right here, there's two relays. This top one and the bottom one are both for the door locks, and they're on separate relays. So you have one for the front and one for the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to guess, because when you look at these panels, it doesn't tell you which is which. It just says, one says lock, one says unlock. So who knows if it's actually working the way it's supposed to. So I'm going to take those out and see if we can put a new one in, and if that fixes our problem. So I've got one here in the middle, and this truck is so gross on the inside, guys. Expect a detail video at some point, that's for sure. But I have a new relay that I ordered, and we're going to put that in and see if that fixes my issue. Now, just noticing that there's supposed to be a driver unlock one. See, there's another one listed here below. So I wonder if we can just plug this one in that spot, and I wonder if that'll do anything. We're going to try it here real quick. May have to change. Well, maybe not. I think I'll just go with the initial plan, which was to pull the old one out. There's a lock and an unlock. We're going to go with the top one. So I'm going to go grab a pair of pliers, because I don't think I can get this thing out by hand. Yeah, no way. I'm going to go grab a pair of pliers, and we're going to pull that thing out. So the top one says lock. We're going to try that one first. Maybe if I can get, this may be hard holding the camera and doing this, so sorry if it's kind of noisy. All right. Let's try this and see what happens. Maybe it doesn't work, maybe it will. Now neither one of them work. Oh, the lock works, but the unlock doesn't work. How odd. All right, so let's take the bottom one out. These things are really tight in there. Let's just swap this one and see what happens. Well, the back's just locked. So maybe it was the top one. I'm gonna have to grab my key, because I think let's unlock the back. Just try it. If I can reach it. All right. Uh-oh. Now we have a mess. I don't know where. There are my keys. Of course, that's always the issue. I should have had the keys anyway. So let's put the key in the ignition. It's locking. Now they're both unlocking. They're both locking. This is really odd. Let's pull this out. Hit the lock button. See if this one locks. Oh, I think we got it, guys. I think it was the bottom relay. Okay. Ah, we got it. All right, so easy fix. Just a relay, just a bad relay. Interesting. Anyway, so on to the next project, which is the oil change. And hopefully it'll be pretty easy. I've never changed oil on an 8.1 before, so I think it probably will be. I don't think it'll be any harder than any other one I've ever done. But I've already got the hood open, so let's crawl under this thing and see what we're gonna need. So once we're under this thing, it looks like a 15 millimeter for the oil pan is all we're gonna need. And the filter is right above that. So this filter here, guys, is for the transmission. So I probably will do something about it down the road. Just because I don't know when the last time this thing was serviced was. I will tell you this much, it is refreshing being able to get under a vehicle without having to lift it up. It's really nice to have that going for me. So anyway, other thing I want to show you guys that I can hear every time this thing runs, and hopefully, let's see here. You hear that rattle? Something back here on the exhaust is rattling. I'm gonna have to get fixed, but I'm gonna go ahead. I've got my drain pan down here, and I'm gonna take this 15 millimeter out. Hopefully you guys can see it right there, and we'll let this thing drain. Like I said, I just got through driving it not long ago, and it didn't take us long to change that relay, so it may be a little warm. Now, one thing about draining oil when it's warm is it drains nice and fast, but the other thing, if you guys notice, it's really watery. I did put some sea foam in the oil, and that's another reason why I wanted to change it today, because it's went about almost 200 miles on that, and it's just something I like to do when I buy a new vehicle. Well, new to me, a used vehicle, because it helps clean out any junk that's in the engine. I generally do that a couple times, and then we're good because I keep up with oil changes, so we don't have that gunk. But it is pretty thin. The oil's really thin, and that's part of the reason why. So I'm gonna go grab a filter wrench, because I tried to twist that thing and it's just not coming loose. So I'm gonna go grab one of those and let that drain off as well. So I was able to get the filter loose, but not without the help of a filter wrench. And I'll list that in the description down below as well. But there's not a lot of room to get your hand up in there, and a lot of times they're coated in oil. So I'm gonna let this thing completely drain out, and then I did buy a new drain plug. And the reason why is because the gasket in the old one was pretty smashed, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to put a new one in it. So we'll put that one in, and then I do have a completely different type of filter that I'm going to be putting in this time, because it's a little bit longer and should filter a little bit better than the one that has on it currently. So I cleaned the filter surface off, and hopefully you guys can see up there. There we go. Clean that off really well with just a rag, and so now this is the new filter that I'm going to replace it with. And as you can see, it's about twice as big, if not 2.5 times as big. And on these motors, you have a gob of room here, so you don't have to worry about ground clearance or anything. And so I like to use the bigger filter anytime I can. So if there's a bigger pan and it allows for it, I like to use a bigger filter if possible. So what you need to make sure of is that your old rubber gasket is off of there. So there's a rubber gasket on the top of these guys, you can see right here. You need to make sure that the old one came off and is on your old filter, which mine was. And so I'm going to take a little bit of oil and rub around this to make it nice and soft, and then we'll screw this one back in place, and then I'll show you the new bolt that I got to replace the old oil, well, the drain plug bolt. Here's the new bolt that I got for the drain plug. And I will say, you know, the factory one has the gasket built in, whereas this one has a removable gasket. But the cool thing about this is you do have the option down the road, if you change it again, you can just replace the actual gasket. So I mean, good and bad, it's still 15 millimeters, so I'm going to go ahead and thread this back into place, and we should be good. So everything is back in and tight. I will tell you guys that I just tighten that down by hand. You don't need to be real crazy on it. I'm sure there's a torque value, but that would probably correlate with the factory bolt. But I don't get really crazy with it, just good and snug. Same thing with the filter. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to spin it off by hand with a really good grip and non-greasy hands. But we're all finished down here. Let's go up top, and we'll talk about what oil I've decided to use. So I'm back up top here. I've got my funnel in place, and guys, this thing calls for 5W30 oil. That is what I'm using. I like to use Mobil 1. It doesn't necessarily have to be the high mileage option. I just chose this because honestly it's what they had in stock. They didn't have the regular in stock, but it is full synthetic. So I do like to use Mobil 1. It's no secret, and about every oil change you see me do, other than like, you know, performance stuff, I like to use certain oils for that stuff. But for like daily drivers, Mobil 1 is always what I use. So this thing calls for 6.5 quarts. Now that's if you use the smaller filter that we use. So chances are it's probably going to take a little more, because that filter, like I said, is almost 2.5 times bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour 6 quarts in. I'm going to check it, and then we'll probably start it up if we're close. If we're not, I may add a little more. So now at 6.5, or actually, yeah, 6.5 quarts is what I put in it, and it still shows a little over full, but I haven't started it yet because that's a pretty big filter, guys. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to put at least another quart in it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out. I always like to stick a towel like in a spot like this so I can leave that there and it drain. And let's put this back on and let's go start this thing, and hopefully we can. It's gonna probably make some noise. And if you guys watch your gauge, it may be a little low while it builds pressure, but don't be alarmed, that's common. But I'm gonna go start it, and then we will check it again and top it off to where it needs to be. So after starting it up, it is maybe even a little more than a quart low. So I'm gonna pour a quart in it and check it again, and then we will go from there. But like I said, that filter, it's a pretty good sized filter down there. And it took a second. It started to show low on the gauge. I probably should have taken you guys in there and showed you that, but it showed low for a second, the oil pressure, and then it went up, and then it came back down, and then it was back to normal. It's actually higher than it's ever been in this truck. So I know that the oil needed changed. You could tell by the way that oil was coming out, it was really thin. So I think we're good here. The next thing I'll show you guys, make sure that you measure it. I might start it one more time, measure it one more time, and then I will show you how to reset your oil life monitor in your dash. Now that we're all finished under the hood, and it actually took 8 quarts, guys, that's what it took. And now keep in mind that I drained it warm, so a lot of oil comes out when you do that. But let's reset this gauge. See if I can put this down with one hand. Maybe not. All right, so put your key in. Now on these, because they're steering wheel controls, it makes life a little easier. So you go to the little gas button, and you can see the range, and then you should get to oil life. So once you get to the oil life, it says 52%. I don't know if somebody reset that or not, but you just hold down the little arrow here, and it should go to 0 and then back to 100. Oil life reset. So the last thing I want to do, so we've got the door fixed, the locking issue, we got the oil change, but I want you guys, if you guys have been on this channel or watched this channel very much, you know how I feel about emblems on my truck. I don't like them. So we're going to take them off, and I know you guys have seen me do this to just about everything I've owned, but we're going to do it on this as well. We're going to use the old trusty tools we always use, some fishing line. I'm going to use a eraser wheel and some 3M adhesive remover. So I think it's probably been warm enough that I don't need my heat gun. If I have to go get my heat gun, I may, but generally as warm as it's been, and I'm literally soaked in sweat right now. You'll see when I end this video, but I don't think I'm gonna need the heat gun today. So I'm gonna set you guys up on a tripod. We'll whip through this really quickly. So just because I don't want to buff it right now, I'm taking a little bit of compound, and I think we can get those etchings out where that outline was. I'm gonna paint correct this thing down the road, but I really don't want to do that today. This is probably a 20-hour job, if not more. Would be my guess. Yeah, some of it came out. The biggest spot that I wanted to mess with here, you guys can see these guys here. I think this will come right off. There's a door ding right here, but whatever hit it just transferred paint. And that one came right off. Figured it would. I don't know about this one down here. That one's a little deeper. It's going to require the buffer. But sure looks better, doesn't it? Yeah, that one's pretty deep. I'll have to use a buffer on that one. I don't even know if that'll come out. It's so deep. We're all finished up now, and I will say, guys, that I think it only took me 15 minutes to go all the way around the truck, and that's with the compound that I put on there, and I was able to get all the staining off. But I can tell you guys, I am really impressed with the way this paint cleans up. This thing is going to paint correct really, really nicely and look really sharp. It's just in great shape for its age and the miles. I'm just really impressed with it. I don't know that spot right there in that corner. I don't know if I'll fix that before I paint correct it. It's just such a huge job that I have to do because there's so much area to cover. So it's probably gonna take me at least 20 hours, I would say, of paint correcting. And since I don't have it in the garage, that makes it kind of hard to do on one day off. So I do love my chair though. That makes it really easy to slide around. I know a lot of you guys ask about my chair. This thing is, I'll list it below too, because it has came in so handy for all the stuff that I do, just wheeling around and doing little things like this. All the staining, like I said, came out. Really, these didn't do too bad, but this Silverado, for some reason, I think because it was smaller and held more dirt, and the tailgate generally gets all the dust and stuff, but definitely looks a lot better. I'm pretty impressed, like I said, with I mean, 3 things we got accomplished today. We got the oil changed, we got that relay fixed, which I don't understand why that relay would randomly not work, but it didn't, so we got that fixed. And then obviously we got the emblems off, so it is looking a little bit better. And I know, guys, I know somebody's gonna say something about my grass. I just planted some new grass here and I wanted to let it grow before I mowed it. So no, generally my yard doesn't look like this, even though it's covered in clover. But tell me what you guys think. I know you guys see a lot of me stripping emblems off stuff. As you know, I can't stand emblems on cars. I don't know, it just breaks it up. It looks weird. Well, I say that. Now that I say that, I'm actually thinking about putting some chrome on the side of my green truck. But we'll get there down the road. There's so much other stuff going on with it, with all the parts strung about. But you can see I have a console there. That, at some point, when I probably clean up the interior, will go in. I still have to source a couple more parts, like the piece that goes around the glove box. I didn't get that. This guy traded me, actually, that console for the jump seat out of my green truck. So that is all I got. He did have the piece that goes under the steering wheel, but it was all cut up, and that's just not the way to do it. I want the actual piece. So been looking around for one of those. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Got like I said, 3 things accomplished today, and it's been raining half the day, so, and I'm hot now. It's super humid, but let me know what you think. If you guys aren't subscribed, guys, go down, hit that subscribe button while you're down there. Make sure you ring that bell icon. That notifies you every single time we drop a new video, whether it's on this, the Tahoe, the Trans Am. I know the Trans Am's been gone a while. It'll come back stronger than ever, I promise you. But stay tuned to see what we work on next.